This is a quick backyard trail review of my 2021 Giant Stance 29-2. I've had this bike for not quite a month, had it on the trail a few times, and I really enjoyed this bike. This is Giant's entry-level full suspension mountain bike. It's this particular model is spec'd out with a giant crest fork, they call it. They were supposed to have their own proprietary fork on here for the first time ever in terms of their own fork they produced for a mountain bike. This one, though, did come with the SR Sun Tour Radon fork. It's an air shock, and this was the spec in the 2020 version. This being, I'm sorry, the 2019 version. This being 2020, with bikes being in high demand, my guess is they're pretty much just using whatever comparable maybe components that they have. Maybe their fork isn't quite up to production yet, who knows. But I've been real happy with this. This also comes with a Radon rear air shock as well, as you can see. Does not have a lockout on the rear shock. The front shock does, but the rear doesn't. That doesn't really matter to me though, because I did not buy a full suspension bike in order just to lock it out. I bought it to ride on the trails and to smooth things out for me, and that it does. Does have rebound adjustment on both. You can see the red dial on the rear shock, and you can see the red adjustment on the front. The front has, I believe, 130 millimeters of travel. The rear has 120, and I'm really enjoying how this smooths out the trail. I had a hardtail before in 27.5. This is the 29, and I think the combination of the larger tires and this having both air shocks and not spring like my old hardtail did, and having the rear shock has really smoothed things out. I also find that I get better traction, especially on the rear tire, because I'm not bouncing around as much. If I'm hitting tree roots and rocks, I'm making better contact, keeping better contact with the trail, not bouncing and losing that traction and forward momentum. So that's been really nice. What I really love though about this bike, a couple things. Obviously it has hydraulic disc brakes. These are Shimano. They're working really well. My previous bike had Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, which is fine, but the Shimano seemed to work really well. I really love though this 1x12 Dior setup. This is the first year that Shimano has had the Dior in a 1x12 setup, and my old bike was a 2x9, and I'm really enjoying this. So basically 1x12, if you're not familiar with mountain bike terms, that means there is only one derailleur, or you can see the crank has only one ring, right? So there's not 2 or 3 rings. The back though has 12. And if you're not familiar with mountain bikes, you may think, well, wouldn't it be better to have more rings up front? Not necessarily. That adds complexity to the bike. It's more opportunities for things just to not work correctly or come out of alignment. It also cross chains more. So basically, your chain can be on a low gear in the rear and a high gear in the front, and be cross chained. So basically be at an angle. And so this just shifts super smooth, super precise. I really enjoy this. Enjoy the fact that this Dior has a clutch. My previous bike had the Shimano, I believe it's pronounced Alivio, rear derailleur, did not have a clutch, and that thing used to slap around all the time. With this clutch on, I have never heard even one bit of chain slap. So it's really nice, keeps the chain nice and secure, also prevents some slap too. As you can see again, this does not have Giant's most, their what they call their Maestro suspension. So it's got a single point on the bottom, you can see. So you can see a single point there of movement. Their Maestro has 2 points. It has one here and one here. This actually relies on a little bit of the flex in the stays in order to make it work. And it's a proven, very simple, proven design. Works really well. A couple of things about this too. This has, as you can see, Maxxis Ardent tubeless tires on it. It's spec'd with Maxxis Forecasters. I'm actually kind of glad though. This one just happened to come with Ardents on it. And I've seen them in the shop side by side, 2 different bikes, exact same bike. One has Forecasters, one has Ardents, just whatever Giant shipped out on them. I really enjoy the Ardents. They're a great tire. This is not just tubeless ready, it is set up tubeless. So from the factory, there are no tubes in this bike, in this wheel. So I really enjoy that. It saves from having to do the upgrade on your own. The Giant Romero seat, at first I didn't really love it, but it's actually starting to grow on me. I had bought some a WTB Volt to test and to see if I like that better. I actually think I like the Romero better now, so I'm going to keep that. I did change the seat post to a Thompson Elite seat post that I had. I really enjoy that on my old bike, put it on here too. I may get a dropper at some point, probably will, but the Thompson Elite works pretty well for a non-dropper seat post. I also did change the handlebars. These are a set of SRAM Truvative Stylo bars. They have a little bit more rise. I believe these have 30 millimeter rise versus the factory bars, which probably have something like 10 or 20. These are also narrower. So these are 700 millimeter bars. The factory bars are 780s. 780s feel a little bit wide to me, just because I'm not a super tall guy. I'm like 5'8", and 780s feel a little bit wide. I also bike in a lot of areas with tree gates, as you can see. There's not a ton here right now, but the 700s just really make me feel a little bit more maneuverable. I feel like I can turn the wheel a little quicker, and I feel like I can clear some of the tree gates just a little bit easier with the 700 versus running 780s. But that's just a personal preference thing. So again, really enjoy this bike. It's a great bike if you're looking to get into full suspension. It's not a super crazy enduro downhill mountain shredder. So if that's your life, this is probably not the bike for you. But if you are just out for running whatever trails, want a little bit of something, or have something that runs a little bit of everything, this is a great option to look at. Again, I'm really enjoying it. I think it was $1,550, and add in some tax there. I mean, you're out the door for under $1,700 for a really capable full suspension mountain bike by Giant. So one quick thing I did forget to mention, I put these race face Chester pedals on my bike. Highly recommend them if you're looking for a great pair of inexpensive mountain bike pedals that will grab, be very durable, and really improve your contact versus maybe cheap stock pedals that manufacturers throw on bikes. I also put some different grips on. They're called Solo Drive. I think they're a copy of an Ergon grip, but these were like $15 off of Amazon. They're a single lock grip, which I like because I tend to put my hands on the outside of the bar, and something with double locks can kind of irritate the outside of my hands here, so I like that. They're a nice squishy rubber material, so that's real nice. I also like the underside of these. They have like a real, you can see kind of a dimply pattern, and that creates a really nice soft texture to grab onto your fingers without irritating. So really enjoy these grips. Actually, I bought a couple of them, just have one spare. So yeah, between those and the race face Chester pedals, a couple of items I would recommend, and I'm really enjoying on this bike.